What's up, superfans? It is Fit Nerd from Superheroes Ultimate. Welcome to another episode of Heroes Finest, where we discuss, review, and reveal all of the latest and the greatest in the superhero realm. And today we're going to be discussing Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 4 and 5. Let's break it down! Man, this shield has gone around, and yes, its significance has only increased because of this series, and I love it more and more. Every single episode is getting better and better, and really bringing a significance even more so than we thought of what this represents. Before I go on and discuss these beautiful episodes and what has happened and what is going on, there's a lot of commotion on the internet right now about this show, way too political on what they're discussing here. And the fact of the matter is, here's a brief history lesson on what Captain America's first appearance was. And it was literally Captain America punching Hitler in the face. Everything Captain America represents is a political statement about injustice, inequalities, and standing up for what is right. And this show has done such an incredible job with the writing and really talking about real world problems. In episode 4, we get a bit of a backstory for Bucky Barnes and his healing journey. And we see him getting treatment from the Dora Milaje in Wakanda. And the name drop of White Wolf continues being dropped throughout this series. And it's a little bit confusing as to why they continue calling Bucky Barnes the White Wolf. And it really looks like the direction that they're going with is that they're gonna make Bucky Barnes the White Wolf in the MCU, which is different from what it is in the comics. In the comics, the White Wolf is actually a villain that is one of the nemesis of the Black Panther. And then we get John Walker and finally having his breakdown with the death of his best friend, Battlestar. Now, I saw this coming since episode 1 that they had to give him a good reason to lose it. And Battlestar was a very important component to this show, to John Walker, because he was basically the conscience for John Walker and keeping him sane, because as we've seen, he is a pretty damn aggressive person and got some psychological issues. And now with the loss of his friend, those psychological issues are just rampant, in which we get a bloody scene of him massacring one of the villains. And yes, it was a villain, but it is not the Captain America way. And Captain America actually went up against the Red Skull and his whole army, and not once did he actually use the shield in that violent way. And this takes us directly into episode 5, where we see John Walker running off with the shield after murdering this guy in front of the entire public eye, to which we finally get the showdown between Bucky, Falcon against the US agent. And we'll talk a little bit more on why he's definitely gonna be the US agent. After watching the episode several times and watching this fight scene, it actually represents way more than people actually think. When you really look between the lines and how they foreshadow exactly the events that are happening within the show and actually events that are happening outside in the real world, right here in the fight scene, you can actually see that when John Walker says, "I am Captain America," it is a white man choking a black man, and then John Walker grabs his wings, removing his freedom. Then we have both of them throughout the fight going back and forth, trying to reach for the shield, and every time that Sam Wilson kept on going for the shield, which was actually meant for him, being taken away from him. Whoever designed this fight is absolutely amazing to the storytelling of what's happening on the show.
Flawless victory.
Episode 5 gives us a more in-depth reasoning to why Falcon gave up the shield in the first place. And it's exactly the same reasons that we all really thought and saw, because this show is really showing all of the prejudice and racism that actually goes on in the world. And this is not just because of today in time. This is actually what was depicted in the comics with the character of Isaiah, because this is actually stuff that went on eons ago, and sadly it is still going on today. And the way they depict it and the way they show it in this show is just a pure work of art, and I am so happy that they're actually depicting this stuff. And as far as the people that are actually having an issue with this being shown in the show,
you're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You guys need to really just stop, because it's either you just really don't understand or are really naive about how things have been running for decades upon decades in this country. And it's sad to say that the majority of people that are actually having issues with this are definitely not black or Hispanic or Asian or Indian. And I've got to admit, I really love John Walker's character and his development, because he's actually a broken man. He literally has had the amount of pressure to be this symbol that he clearly is not the same ideals, because he was bred and created by the government as a killing machine. And then when he actually goes and kills the bad guy in the public eye, they basically get up and fire him because he made the people in suits look bad. Writing in this show is so fantastic that I actually feel for John Walker, and I feel about his loss of his best friend. And then we get the introduction of Madam Hydra, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, also known as Val in the comics. And yes, this is Madam Hydra. And in the comics, she was actually one of the love interests of Nick Fury, and I'm pretty sure they're probably going to keep this in the cinematic universe to some extent as well. She is formerly an agent for S.H.I.E.L.D., but on the DL, she is actually working for Hydra, and as we know, Hydra was working right under the radar of S.H.I.E.L.D., and apparently they still are. And she just recruited one of her members, which is going to be clearly the US agent. And in the comics, when Sharon Carter actually had a relationship with Steve Rogers, Captain America, there was a little bit of a quarrel between Contessa and Sharon Carter in the comics. I'm not sure how they're going to go about this type of relationship and translating it into the MCU, but it may be a possibility that either Sharon Carter is working with Contessa or they're probably against each other. We will hopefully find out in episode 6. And I love how we basically just got the biggest Easter egg of Joaquin Torres becoming the next Falcon by retrieving the wings from Sam Wilson. And Sam Wilson basically just turns around and says, keep them. This could be the biggest Easter egg to Joaquin Torres fixing up the wings, repairing them, and actually using the wings for himself. As we know, since the White Wolf went after Zemo and not killing him and basically just pranking him in the most evilest of ways and handing him over to the Dora Milaje, he asked him for a favor to make the suit for Sam Wilson, which in my opinion, that means that his dope suit is probably going to have him level up in ways that's going to probably give him super strength as well to go toe-to-toe with all of these super soldiers and possibly stronger villains later on in the future. And the bromance buildup of Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson rebuilding a boat to help out Sam Wilson's sister, which by the way, Sam Wilson did not like that the White Wolf was definitely macking it to Sam Wilson's sister. Absolutely love their scene, having the heart-to-heart, and how they both have discovered themselves, and how Sam Wilson has discovered that he must take over the mantle so that the work that Isaiah has done is not gone in vain. Plus, am I the only one that saw the major Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator vibes of the bromance here? My absolute favorite scene and most emotional scene of this entire episode is definitely the meeting between Isaiah Bradley and Sam Wilson having a one-to-one, heart-to-heart talk about what really happened and why he was put into prison for 30 years. And one of the most powerful moments for Isaiah Bradley and why he didn't take up the mantle of being a Captain America. And it's because they will never let a black man be Captain America. And maybe some really just don't understand the importance of this line and how important it is to be there in this show and in reality. And the fact that he said that for 500 years they have been hiding and erasing all of these things. And this is true because in history there have been a lot of successful black people that you do not even know have done great things in this country because they simply don't say it. And Isaiah does a fantastic job at pointing that out. And let's not forget that in previous videos I did mention the whole comparison for what Isaiah did for his troops and what Captain America did, and the differences in how they were both treated in this scenario.
A handful of us got shot up with different versions of that serum. A couple of the boys get captured on a mission. I heard the brass talking about blowing the POW camp to hell to hide the evidence. But those are my men. And what did I get for saving their lives?
And I love that we get George St. Pierre back in the mix, because I really love his fight scenes, and I really love seeing him as a villain. As for the end credit scene with John Walker making his own shield, it looks like he's definitely going to make the similar shield, hopefully similar shield, to what we see in the comics. We will see in episode 6 when the showdown finally happens. So what do you guys feel about the show? Is the show hitting all the wrong notes for you? Is it hitting all the right notes? Is it making you understand more about certain circumstances of the world that are actually true and really still happening? I, for one, love this show, and some people may relate a lot to what Isaiah has actually gone through, and even more so respect that Falcon is actually standing up and continuing the fight. The writing in this show is just absolutely amazing. And as far as the power broker, it's really looking like either Sharon Carter is actually the power broker. I really don't want that. I think it's a bad decision to make her the power broker, but I hope there is a big reveal as promised in the 6th episode. So we were gonna have to wait and see. What did you guys think about the episode? What do you guys think about the whole series so far? Do you guys think it's going too political? Drop it in the comments below. As always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. If you have not done so, smash the subscribe button, give us a like, and of course, if you want to show some support for the channel and get some cool apparel and collectibles, I placed the link right here and in the description below. Until next, superfans, this is Pit Nerd, over and out.